business news now, and joining us from the TSX is Tammy Ezer, Marketing Director with InsuranceHotline.com. Tammy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a long weekend. Now, some people will be going to the cottage for the first time this year and packing, overstuffing their vehicle. This can spell trouble, can't it?
It absolutely can. If you do anything to impede your field of vision, especially within those tricky blind spot areas, you could be causing an accident on the road. If you really have a lot of stuff, you might want to strap some things to the roof or take a small utility trailer with you.
Now, what are some of the distractions people are guilty of? We're talking about inside the car now, obviously packing your back windshield up a bit too high. What about outside the vehicle?
In terms of distractions, a lot of the distractions are actually still inside the vehicle. It's the texting when driving, eating and drinking, and the children a lot of times can be distractions inside the vehicle you have to be mindful of.
Now, we're in a rush to get there, but speeding and tailgating, of course, is never a good idea.
Never a good idea. You know, tailgating especially because if you hit somebody from behind, chances are you're going to be found at fault. You have to leave enough room to stop if the person in front of you stops quickly. And speeding, I know we all want to get there very quickly, but it usually doesn't really get you that much extra time when you're speeding very quickly, and it is a really big cause of a lot of accidents. It's just not safe to be weaving in and out and driving too far above the speed limit.
I know another thing that may seem small but actually has huge consequences is not buckling up. Of course, you pile so many people into that back seat and you can't find the seat belts. What are some problems there?
Well, the problems first and foremost is that you can get a ticket, which can have an impact on your insurance rates, as well as, especially if there are children under 16 in the car, it's actually the driver who's going to get a ticket for them as well. You have to make sure that everybody in the car is all buckled up for your safety foremost.
Okay, so before I let you go now, I do want to ask you, for anybody heading out on the road right now, what are some 3 key points you should remember and make sure you abide by?
Make sure you are, like I said, for the children, have something to keep them occupied for the road trip. I know it might be long, especially with traffic, but make sure they've got enough to keep them occupied so they're not distracting you while you're driving. If you don't know where you're going, maybe you've rented a cottage, you're going up for the first time, make sure that the passenger is doing all the navigating and you're not, as a driver, fiddling around with the GPS and trying to figure out where you're going. And make sure that you obey the rules of the road. At the end of the day, driving safely is going to get you there safer.
Some very important advice on a long weekend. Tammy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And speaking of the drive up to